Welcome today, Tania Fierro from the Innerland Institute, the founder of this amazing institute, the founder of Innerland, of your all Innerland Institute. And I'm so happy that we have an interview call for a series going on in the next weeks. So it's the first of 4 interviews we will take, and to make it possible to the audience who is listening to you all there around, to have lots of questions and answers. And yes, I'm so happy that to have you here in this amazing time together, and also to tell a little bit about your time and your Innerland, why you called it Innerland. This is also a long story, but I wanted to start this all immersion into this beautiful Tania Fierro about probably what is the most interesting. People is interesting. What is, in your experience, what is IBC? So it is in the Innerland community, you developed a methodology that's called inquiry-based coaching. This is IBC. And probably you can start with this. What is for your in your personal experience, what is IBC for yourself, and how it developed out of your own experience?
Well, thank you, Markus, for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you and with everyone that will join this experience together. Yes, IBC is a way of very sharply and beautifully and kindly look inward. I think through my philosophy experience, we hear all the time, know yourself, look inward, do your inner work, and everybody talks and turns into this idea that we need to do personal work to know our shadows, to know the dark parts, to know the parts that have been experienced pain in us. But very few times we have a clear, structured way to guide ourselves to the journey inside of us, into our inner spiral. So the symbol of Innerland is the spiral 3 times, which is always the renovation of oneself. And through the renovation and the internal exploration of oneself, we have an impact in the world. And we also have an impact in our relationships. So it's always this eternal, interdependent communion with ourselves and others and the world. So IBC is a very structured set of questions to look inside and to get to know those different aspects of ourselves that come up in different experiences that come up when we experience obstacles that are painful, that come up when we experience obstacles with the world, with ourselves, and in our relationships. It's always this triad, right?
This is also the triad of your symbol, of the Innerland.
Yes, this also this triad, yes. And we're always in this incredible journey as humans to have the most harmonious, free, most beautiful life. And we need support for that. And there's many ways of supporting that. And one very powerful way that we have at Innerland is inquiry. And we have these questions that I'm sure we will dive in further into these in this time together. Yeah.
So you said in this triangle between myself, the world, and my inner world, what is the triangle? Can you specify a little bit more? And
yes,
also the spiral.
The spirals are the spiral, that the journey that I take within.
Yes, these three parts.
And then that journey will necessarily have an impact in my relationships.
Yes.
With my partners, with my family, with my friend, with my spouse. And then that also has an impact in the world.
In the world. Okay. So first I go inside to explore my inner land. And the second is then that will have an impact to the relationship. And the third is then this is the world.
Yes. And I create this experience in my world. Yes.
Wow. And in my experience, we are not taught how to face our inner land. Not in school, nor in society. And there are so many different religions and schools and psychotherapy techniques and psychoanalysis. And there are so many things outward that, but I experienced that the IBC or the Innerland structure has a container of this how to ask these questions and how to face your inner land. So our own inner land, because how I am dealing with my own inner land is how I deal with the world. So it is important to deal with my inner land first.
Correct.
And so how would you say, what is the most important thing when I face my inner land? Because we are not trained. So this is, we are not, but what is the most important thing when somebody who's new and okay, I want to do inquiry, what is the most important thing, how I face my own inner land?
Yes, well, Innerland, one of the components is IBC, but there's many, many components because we also invite people to come together and to experience what we call the zero space experience. And that zero space experience is the capacity to let people know that, or support people in remembering that they have this incredible power inside of themselves that is connected to light, and this light is connected to the light in the world. So how can we train people, or how can we support this? It's first remembering that we have this light within us and that it's never left us. Since the moment we were born, it's never left us. And the only thing that's happened is that we sometimes forget it because most of the time we are conditioned to look outside and be externally referenced. Or no, I start to do what my teacher says, or my mother says, or my auntie, or my friends, and I start to put the value in opinions. And this makes for forgetting our light. But if we at Innerland practice meditation, we practice awareness, we practice movement, we practice continuum, we practice IBC, we practice IFS, we practice many modalities, the way that we come to circle, we create these safe spaces and these sacred circles where people very rapidly remember the incredible light, the incredible power that they have within themselves. And it's in truth, it's the most important thing, supporting people remembering that they have this light and how to connect with their inner light and the outer light in the world.
Yes. Yeah. So, and how is this remembering possible? How is this remembering possible?
The remembering is possible first when we acknowledge pain, what hurts. So the first step would be the radical honesty to admit to ourselves and to each other in a safe space, in a vulnerable space. What are the pains that we carry?
There are a lot. Pains is plural.
Yes.
Plural.
And
So,
that we might be carrying for a while now, maybe
mhm.
since we were young. And this pain, being honest.
So it is honesty and acknowledging the pain,
Yes,
not pushing
honesty.
away,
And
acknowledging.
exactly. Acknowledging, not pushing away, being radically honest about it. And together with that is curiosity.
Mhm,
It's being curious how I could possibly experience life in a way that is not painful.
mhm,
So, first, we need to create
mhm,
an inventory of all the pain, and then get curious. And then there's many ways that we can get curious. We can get curious through what we feel in our body. We can get curious with what we are experiencing with a relationship. We can get curious. And the curiosity starts with asking before we start the IBC process with the 5 questions of the spirit of inquiry, which is the willingness to be wrong about how we experience a certain situation,
mhm,
the capacity to be genuinely curious as to what I might be missing,
mhm,
the capacity to be vulnerable and feeling what this situation makes me feel, the capacity to be uncomfortable, because sometimes exploring new things can be uncomfortable. And then the capacity to be humble, which means what is this person or situation able to show me that I could never find because my eyes or my perception is never 360. So I need humility to understand that sometimes it takes different angles or different people to support me in finding other ways of looking at things. And then we dive into the process of IBC. The process of IBC has all these parts, and the first part is about acknowledging how I validate or how I make a case for my stress, for my pain, for my suffering. What
mhm,
are the beliefs? What are the sensations? What are the feelings? What are the images that come?
mhm,
And then what identity shows up? Who do I turn into? Who do I turn others into? Do
mhm,
I become a victim or do I become a perpetrator? Do the others become enemies or do the others become judges or do the others become people that don't care? Our mind creates identities with when we are in this, what we call at Innerland, filled with head trash
mhm,
that creates pain. Then the second part is creating a little bit of distance from that, from all that narrative, and really seeing when I perceive the world like this, how do I live? What are some of the patterns?
So the first part is really acknowledging. Really, this is a very important step in Innerland that we don't push it away. So really acknowledging and also
Mhm,
value and let it open to it.
mhm,
So
mhm.
really to give it a life, to
Yeah.
give it a life, and begegnen and to go and to relate to it in the first step and to relate to it. And then in the second, what's coming up when we have settled, oh, it is okay that this pain is there, and I
Yes.
listen to the pain in the first question, yes.
Mhm.
And then in the second movement is,
And then in the second part, I look at what are the consequences?
Mhm,
How maybe I exaggerate or how I disconnect from myself,
mhm,
how I disconnect from my inner world.
mhm,
What patterns show up? Maybe I eat, maybe I drink, maybe I smoke, maybe I talk to people, I gossip, maybe I talk to myself in a very mean way, maybe I think I know,
mhm,
maybe I think I'm right, maybe I get very defensive, maybe I get very depressed.
mhm,
All of these are patterns or consequences.
mhm,
And then we start to see that this perception has these consequences. So, in a way, the perception or the experience of this creates our painful experience. So, that would be the second part. And then we move into the third part, which is to even get even more distant from the obstacle. And the distance is about really knowing what is available that I was not able to see. So it really requires that my mind, instead of getting narrow, 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 it starts getting wide, 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 wide. And I start to see, what could I possibly be missing here? What could I possibly find that I wasn't able to perceive before? Right?
yeah. So this is a new perspectives opening up there, new perspectives on the same topic. So, and that
Mhm.
is opening up the capacity of our mind is coming more in the game.
Yes. So we are really in the frontal cortex, in the exploration, creativity. In the third part of IBC, we are about learning what are the opportunities that are there for me. We are about exploring, getting curious about what could I do differently? What could be a next step that I could do differently? And the idea is that if we give our heart, our spirit, that light, the chance to answer these questions with spaciousness, with love, with support, that light shines very bright and starts to expand. And then what was once a very painful obstacle can be liberated into a beautiful opportunity or a different way of being in the world. And what we notice is that through the years of exploring this and doing immersions in different parts of the world and people experiences, is that this practice doesn't leave you. It really, once we remember the light, once we give the light the opportunity to see with spaciousness and with the right questions, then we never forget that we have it. And even though, well, we can forget it or not be aware, but we know it's there and we know a way back to it. So even if life throws us challenges, we start to be able to tackle them or to relate to them in a way that is resourceful and not desperate,
Mhm.
in a way that is that we can trust. And that is very good medicine for our times, in a time where sometimes we don't know what to trust, because there's so many things telling us different things out there. We can develop that inner knowing, that intuition, that light. We can develop it so strongly that even if we get different messages, we know what it feels like to trust ourselves and to remember what is right for us. And that is the most beautiful gift we can give anyone, the capacity and a method and ways to remember their light and to really trust, to mature in the trust of what feels truly right for each of us.
Mm-hmm. And this remembering is expanding, and it
Yes.
feels as it is not losable anymore. It is not.
No. Even if we are in pain again, we know that we have something within us that is profoundly powerful.
Yeah. So, and once this is remembered or experienced or liberated, this pain into a new opportunity, what is then the fourth step? What is the next step in the process?
Well, the next step is to check what is left, because the idea, well, it's not an idea. The goal is that maybe we measure things. We measure, for example, how painful is this from 1 to 10?
Mm-hmm.
And if we say 10 and we do the process of IBC and we end up at a 6, then we do another spiral of IBC and we try to end at 0. Mm-hmm. What does 0 feel like? It feels, for me, like expansion, calmness, connection, curiosity, but it's different for everybody. So the next step is to be able to relate to that topic until it has no charge at all. And that charge, having no charge at all, is what we call the 0 space.
Facing the pain, facing what was before pain and now
not.
So it is a completely new method of not controlling the out world, so to relate. How do I relate to my inner world, facing the same reality? But the reality is changing also. Yeah. So, but how is this happening? That this is, in my experience, it is I gain power back in the process of 0. I gain my own power back, because when I'm outside with the pain from with the world, I'm there, and now I'm here again. So I'm coming home. I'm coming home to the remembrance who I really am. And
yes, and what is very beautiful, is to acknowledge that when we do this, maybe I take action that changes my outside reality. But it's not an action that is reactive. It's an action that is proactive.
Yes.
It's not reactive, it's proactive, because I know what is right for me now.
So, yeah. So
that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the action, is this the 5th step? Or what is then the 5th?
Would be the fix. Yes, it's really understanding that what is to get to 0, and then see what are the actions that follow. Exactly.
So this gives the whole IBC a new aspect of a game, or no, a goal. It could be so to experience this 0 space, your true nature, and then act out of it and sustain this.
Yes.
How would you say this? So it could be a methodology, IBC. What is the purpose or the goal or the for what we are doing this?
What is the purpose or the goal of to what we're doing this? To really understand what that our talents and our gifts will be much more potentialized and expanded if we are truly living from zero. So it's a zero-led life. Instead of a stress-led life, it's a zero-led life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And how is the difference? What is their difference? And in your experience with your clients and
in my experience, the difference is tremendous because I see it as the difference is that you trust yourself, others, and life. And when you trust and you're relaxed in that trust, then love guides you and not fear. So the point is to live a life that's much more guided by love and trust instead of fear and suspicion.
Yes.
And being suspicious of everything, suspicious of everyone. So how, I think if you ask anybody, would you like to live a life that is much more loving and trusting? Everybody will say yes. If you live a life that is way more led by true alignment instead of fear, nobody wants to be afraid. Nobody wants to be living a suspicious life. Nobody.
So isn't that in the moment when we are in fear that we are lived instead of live ourselves? This is what you said, active and proactive and reactive. So when out of fear, for myself, when I act out of fear, it feels as if I am lived by identities I have created myself. So they take over in my life. And when I'm and then I can have not the access to love. Yeah. So IBC, can we say that IBC is a tool or a methodology to contact this love that is inside, to connect,
to expand it? Yes, to deeply expand it.
To deeply expand it.
Yes.
And in your own life, not only in the session, in your own life. And is this not the most important thing that is?
Yes.
That is needed in our life? How do you see that? What is the most important when you look into the world? What is, in your experience, the most important thing to do that we can have this love connected to love action?
What is the most important thing than that? Well,
yes.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So this is the most important thing.
Well, tell me, what is more important than being able to move our gifts in the world, to share our gifts in the world in the most loving, most powerful way? What can be more important than that?
Yeah, then I'm aligned with my inner side, with zero, and with the people around me, and with the society.
Exactly.
so then we have the three parts again.
Exactly.
So it is about alignment. And you told me once about a touch tree, alignment with your own touch tree that is rooted in zero. Can you tell a little bit about this experience? How you so that people can probably can associate with this. What is the most important thing when this alignment happens and it shows up in your life? How does it show up, and how is it visible?
Well, it's different for everybody. It depends on your talents and who you are. But I would say that generally it's a life that is not lived guided by fear, but it's different for everybody. It depends on your talent, depends on your wisdom. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it depends. So this is also what I love so much about IBC, that this is individualized to everybody. So it is not a concept that is opposed
No.
somebody and this is right, so believe it. So it is individual to the present moment that is experienced now.
Yes.
Everybody. So it is adaptable.
Yes.
For everybody. So so now we have these 5 steps, and then we how do you can you give an example of your own experience? What it changed in your life? For just a small, just a,
Yeah.
so
Well,
we can,
many things have changed in my life. My relationship with my oldest child changed dramatically. It had a lot of tension, and it moved to being very harmonious and understanding. My marriage also had a lot of tension, and now it's flowing. With work, thinking that work needs to look a certain way and things flow with but I think the most important thing in my own experience is the kind way that I talk to myself and I relate to myself, because I came from an environment that was very high achieving. And it was really hard to always be, even though I did very well, it was never enough, never enough. So I grew up with that sense that no matter how wonderful things were, they were never enough.
yes.
So to be in a place where that is gone and to really appreciate the successes and to live in a calm way without feeling that I always have to achieve
Yes.
is a very peaceful place to live.
Yeah. So yeah, and you were also an Olympic athlete.
Yes.
So this is so very achievable where you grow up. So and I think that it is never enough, isn't it? So this not enoughness would be, I'm thinking about, would you be open to do just an IBC circus or an experience on this and not enoughness just in the next 10-15 minutes, so we can experience and we can do it together, or I can ask you the questions. And what do you think? Would this be okay?
Yeah, that would be fine. So what we would do is go back to an experience where I would feel that what was happening in my life, and I invite you all to do the same, whatever situation you're in, that to go to that place where you think that it's not enough as it is, that it should be more of whatever you want. And to really say, this experience as it is not enough. Am I willing to be wrong about that? So to check in with that and say yes. Am I willing to be genuinely curious about that? And yes or no are good answers, but I find a yes. And then,
Yeah,
am I willing
I'm
to
not
be
enough.
vulnerable? Yes, I am. Am I willing to be uncomfortable as I explore? Yes, I am.
Mhm.
Am I willing to be humble? Yes. So, how do I validate that I'm not enough? So, how do I make a case for this? In my experience, it was about comparing myself to others, to other people that are doing different things. It was about putting my attention in external references. I recognized that it came with a very bad tummy ache, feeling tense in my belly. And I also would definitely feel or have images where I was failing or um, seeing like that things would not go well. So in that moment when I have these images and my belly is tense and I feel tense and I compare myself, because we can only feel not enough, in my experience, when I'm comparing or when I have an external reference in my mind that
How
tells me
how it should
something,
be.
how it should be. So when I'm there, my identity becomes one of anxiousness. I become an anxious person. I become a person that doesn't appreciate what is there. I become a person that is not really connected to gratitude. And then I turn others into people that are living a way better life than me,
Yes,
that have it all together.
they have it, I'm not.
They have it, I don't. They know what's going on, I don't. They do it right, I don't.
It is a
So then,
reinforced.
so this is the first part of the IBC, no, right? We just did it. The second part is, how do I exaggerate? Well, I actually don't know their life because I'm so obsessed with mine that I just imagine what their life is, but I don't have a clue. And I disconnect from myself because all my energy is outward. And then what patterns show up when I feel I'm not enough? I am not present. My breath is shallow. Again, I have tension. I wake up at night. I am not productive, not really creative productive because I'm too anxious and worried. So these are some of the patterns that show up when I believe I'm not enough.
And
And
the next
then
time I try it more better. I try it again.
the
I
pattern,
try it more
more,
better.
more. What do I need to push harder? Do more hours, push, strive harder.
I have to work hard to achieve.
Exactly.
So I have to achieve. So the achiever is going into place and the pattern helps. And then
And then I can see that I create this experience with this head trash, with all these ways of relating to the world. And I also create it for others because I am not really in touch with others. I'm just relating to the idea I have of them in my mind.
I'm not enough.
I'm not enough, and they are enough. So that's the second part of the IBC. Then I go to the third part of the IBC, and that is to take a deep breath and to get a little bit of distance from that situation. I like to close my eyes and to really take a moment of silence, a pause, and see, what am I not able to notice when I'm believing or when I feel that I'm not enough. Well, I'm not able to see all the beauty in my life, that I'm healthy, the beautiful work that I do, the beautiful impact it has on people. I'm not able to see what a blessed life I have, my family, my friends, the beautiful place I live in. I'm not able to see how I can be gentle with myself, more loving, kind, and become a good friend to myself. To be with myself as a loving companion, I'm not able to access that. So then I move into the opportunity. So, what is my opportunity? My opportunity when that obstacle visits is to come back to becoming a loving companion to myself, a loving friend, an encouraging friend. The opportunity is to be still in myself so I can really receive what is there for me from life, from the most tiny things to the bigger things, and to really receive what life is giving me now. And then when I see these opportunities, what becomes fresh and new and exciting and clear in this moment with this inquiry is to really be the most loving, the best friend, the most beloved lover with myself. That's very exciting. So instead of having these parts that push me and judge me and criticize me and compare me, it's fresh to rest. It's exciting to become a good, internal, beautiful, loving friend to me, to appreciate me, to encourage me. And that is profoundly beautiful. Even my belly relaxed right now. And then the next step is next time I feel like this, it's to breathe and get very quiet and very still so I can receive the present moment fully. So I can really get in touch with that love. And then what's left, it's when I really pause and breathe, I can really and be loving with my own being. I can really deeply access that zero space inside of myself. So in this case, I wouldn't need to do another round of IBC because with this one, I was able to access zero. And what I can see is how nourishing that stillness and that silence is. And that loving voice, internal loving voice. So in this context, it's just a very beautiful, quick way of seeing what the IBC process can do. And right now I did it and I didn't take very long because I'm very experienced and very practiced. But what can happen is when somebody's just starting to practice this, it's just starting to access this, they can find answering these questions may take longer, and that's okay. It's just a matter of building a muscle so that our internal light can answer these questions much more directly as time goes by. And that will happen guaranteed. And if anybody, I don't know if you have your cell phone, Marcus, I don't have my cell phone with me, but if you can access the Innerland app to
Mhm.
guide you with these questions. Do you have your iPhone? Maybe you
Yes.
can show. Can you
Mhm.
show the app?
Oh, yes. Um,
Yeah, exactly. You load it, you look for Innerland in the App Store, and you can guide yourself with these questions. It's so easy. And at the same time, very deep and profound. Yes, thank you, Markus.
Yeah. Wow, it is an experience to access this, your true nature of zero that you are.
Yes.
And how can we stabilize this? This is a question I hear a lot from also my clients. How can we now stabilize this in my life? When I'm not doing IBC, or just when I'm on the street and or doing a test, or yeah, how can I stabilize this connection? And how?
Well, that's a very complex question. But if you're afraid of losing the connection, then you have to do an IBC on the fear.
Yeah.
It's not through fear of losing the connection that you will have a bigger connection. It's through practice and understanding that you can't lose it and that it's always with you.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that more
later. In my experience, I was thinking about, it's a daily practice.
Yes.
And if you strengthen the muscle, then it is becoming natural and easy to do. It's not so strong. It is easy.
Exactly.
And you can exit it also on the Innerland homepage, or and there are so many hundreds of coaches out there.
Yes.
How can people connect to this Innerland, to their own Innerland, and to get
the
zero?
Innerland community? Yes, to go to the webpage, to subscribe to our newsletter, to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, to see, to join our courses, and to just email us and be part of the conversation. There's a beautiful Innerland community that you lead in Switzerland, Markus, that is amazing. You can also put maybe the contact below for your website, and how to contact the Swiss coaches, the German coaches, the international coaches in Mexico, in the US, in Canada.
It is on the innerland.com.
Yes, you can see all the coaches and information there.
It's all there. So, and then you contact, and you can download the app, and then you do an inventory of the pain, and then you do the questions, and then you come up with the opportunities and the new life.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tania, for this.
You're so welcome, Markus. Thank you for having me.
And is there anything what you want to say from your heart, or and your last word, 1 or 2 minutes, what you wish to the people who are listening to that?
Yes, that there's nothing more important than to remember this light and to expand it. That is how our talents, no matter what we do in life, will be stronger, brighter, more powerful. And that we need people in the world that move way more connected to love and trust with their own talents than ever before. So to learn how to access this and to sustain it is essential.
Wow. This is a great finish. Thank you so much, Tania.
So welcome.
Thank you so much, and see you all in the next episode 2.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Much love, Markus. Much love. Thank you.